Joe Namath is one of the most famous quarterbacks in pro football history, and when you think of the Jets, you think of Joe Namath. He was selected by New York in the first round of the 1965 AFL Draft. Namath would lead the Jets to glory in Super Bowl III, in what is regarded as one of the greatest upsets in both American football history and the history of professional sports. He won the MVP for the Super Bowl, but he did not do much. 17 for 28 passing with 206 yards. Namath did not throw a single touchdown in that game, but he also did not throw an interception. Throwing interceptions, especially a lot of them, was something that Namath was very familiar with. He led the league on 4 separate occasions in interceptions. When it comes to the debate on Joe Namath and his Hall of Fame career, the biggest standpoint that most people have is that he was an incredibly overrated player due to the amount of turnovers he had over the course of his career. But nevertheless though, when Namath was good, he was a very scary player. He was one of the first ever quarterbacks who were known to actually throw the ball, as he led the league 3 times in passing yards. Back then, in the 50s and 60s, you did not see quarterbacks throw the ball a lot. Joe Namath reshaped football. He did things his own way. And yes, when you look at his career stats, it might seem like he has no business whatsoever being in the NFL Hall of Fame. But what a lot of younger fans don't realize, that if Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Dan Marino, that if they played under the same rules that Namath did, which made the passing game much more difficult, they would not have been able to put up the same numbers that he did. Sadly, Broadway Joe is just a highly misunderstood player, especially by younger fans that go strictly by stats. Yes, he had his flaws, don't get me wrong, but questioning his place in the Hall of Fame is absolutely ludicrous. You can ask any coach, including Bill Belichick, and I guarantee you that they will tell you that Namath is one of the most talented quarterbacks to play the game, despite the fact that he played on bad knees his entire career, which plays such a big factor. The quarterback position is such a moving around position, and Joe Namath had a very big negative going for him, and nevertheless he still made a hell of a career out of things. One of the biggest factors that I want to leave this video off on is that Joe Namath didn't just have one good season. He was always a solid, consistent quarterback throughout his entire career, especially with the Jets. That's why his number is retired. And regardless of the stats, what he did and how he shaped football makes him one of the most legitimate quarterbacks ever in pro football history.